protecting child rights, we also want to hear from the children themselves, all right? And of course, we have one in the studio as well to just tell us, first of all, what is it like being a child in this country? What exactly are their needs and what can we do to protect their rights and just make sure that they are okay and have access to everything that they need in terms of education, health, and everything else in between, all right? So without further ado, my guest for the day, we have Collins Etieng, who is a child rights advocate. How are you doing this morning, Collins?
I'm fine, thank you.
And thank you very much for making time for us this morning. And we also have Omar Hamed Gombo, who's a child journalist. I like that, all right? And as well as a young child's rights advocate. Young child's rights advocate.
Yes.
Yeah, the S's are too many.
Yes, I have a lot of titles.
A lot of titles at such a young age.
Yeah.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having us.
And thank you, really, for coming by today. I'm just going to start with you. What is it like being a child in this country?
Being a child in this country,
Yes.
it's quite challenging.
Is it?
It is. Because,
All
as for me, I'm a child rights advocate. And basically, I've been advocating for the rights of the children since I was 13 years old.
All right.
And we find that it's quite challenging because you post challenges that children go through. You do stories on challenges that children are going through across the country.
Yeah.
And you talk to some of the government officials, you talk to some of the NGOs that you feel might support these challenges or might come up with solution to help these challenges.
Yeah.
But you find that they don't help. And you find that in turn, children just keep suffering on and on.
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure if you go back to my high school, you can, people can attest that I used to complain a lot.
Okay. You were that student.
I was that student that they used to mention. Like,
Okay.
because I mean, there's, and I used to have a friend who used to actually do this together. I mean, for a school schedule, for example, for a child's, for a school schedule, like a timetable, I don't get the use of having a timetable for a child to follow from morning to evening, and there was not even a child say in creation of that timetable or creation of that schedule.
Yeah.
You tell the child to eat for 10 minutes. I mean, the child was not even there to tell you the experience of actually eating for just that 10 minutes.
Yes.
But then at the same time, it's also quite fun being a child in Kenya.
Right? You know, majority of the times, people say, "Oh, what do you have to complain about?
Yeah.
Your rent is being paid, you're given food, you're taken to school." Like there's someone who is responsible for you just being here. You, what you need to do is just leave and be a child. But at the same time, I mean that whatever mom says, whatever the teacher says, whatever
what
the
goes.
Government says, whatever whoever else says, that is what a child needs to follow.
Yeah.
But what about them? What about
The
what is
children.
it that they need? What is
Yes.
it, you know, that they can contribute to us saying, listen, I get what you're saying, but we
This
can
is
do
what-
it this other way,
Yeah,
right?
because we don't get to see, we don't get to get this from the child's perspective.
Yeah.
Basically, child participation itself. And I want to congratulate the New Children's Act, which has a
Yes.
section.
It's been a
Yeah,
long
it's-
time coming.
We've really waited. We've really
Finally have
waited.
it defended,
Finally,
yes, the
we
former
have
government.
a section on child participation, and I actually want to congratulate that. So, I mean, if children are going through, and we go through a lot of challenges, we do go through a lot of challenges.
We'll look into the challenges.
We'll look into them
in just a
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
You know, right now, and of course, you're also here to just help us really understand and paint that picture for us.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier on, the perception is you're a child, just be a child.
Yes.
What here is vitu zingine
Ache-
decision making.
wache hizo tuachie hizo.
But sometimes it's not good. Good for the children. All right, and of course, Collins, just listening to what Omar is saying, that being a child in this country is challenging. Nobody involves us in anything. You know, you just expect us to leave, and we're not okay with children in this case. You know, they're not okay with some of these things that are being sort of like imposed on them, but then they have no choice but just to follow those things. I mean, what do you make of that?
Thank you very much, Winnie, for the opportunity to discuss this subject. You know, we are in a country, we are in Africa, first of all, and you know, a country like Kenya, for the longest time we've considered, you know, that children should not be heard; they should just be seen.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that people like me are doing is to ensure that we give children an opportunity to speak for themselves, for them to be heard, for them to be able to express their feelings, and just to be part of the conversation and to be part of decision making. Because, you know, years are changing, and a lot is happening. And if we don't involve children in things affecting them, then we are going to have a very dangerous generation in future. We are going to have a generation that doesn't really that is not really concerned about what's happening around them,
yeah.
because they feel like they have been excluded in decision making. And you know, you'll see that even at home when you're growing up, when you see something that you've not been involved, you feel like, you know, that is not mine, that is theirs. Yeah. But when
you sort of like detach yourself
yes,
from
you
from
detach
that,
yourself from it. But if when you make a decision, when you are part of a decision, it becomes easy for you to, you know, to accept it, to be part of it. You feel okay with it. You feel like, you know, these people have appreciated you, the fact that they have involved you in a decision. So it becomes very difficult even for a child to break a rule that, you know, they participated in making. Yeah, you realize that from that homestead level at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we just do like a comparison? Because again, some might argue and say, most of us when we were growing up, there was no room for discussion. You know, it was whatever the parent says, whatever the teacher says, whatever the religious leader says, that's it. You know, there's no room for negotiation. Like, you're a child, you know? And some might say, but we turned out okay. And then there's another school of thought that would say, a child does not know what exactly they want because they're children. They're still growing. So they don't really know what they want, and their interests might actually change as they grow up. What do you make of this?
Well,
of this too? Omar, I'm also gonna get.
Yes, I really want to answer that.
Do you want to go first and then we come back to
yeah.
Collins? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let me say this. During your time, okay, not your time.
No, no, but yeah, I get that. Yes.
Yeah, during your time, you guys never used to speak. Let me give an example of mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health wasn't something that was quite major during maybe those 1900s, 1987.
Wow. This child has this and
In short,
like
the millennials, when they were growing up, they never used to talk about mental health. And the reason as to why Collins is saying that we do need child participation right now is because this is something that has become quite major with the, let me say, Gen Z, or the Gen Z. I mean, this is something that has become quite major. So we actually need to get the views from children, because this is something that we need to talk about now so that it doesn't affect them in future. I usually say that if we control the children, or if we empower the children, then our future leaders, our future astronauts, our future presidents are the best. So you see, that's a good example, like mental health. You guys never used to talk about it. So right now, we actually do need to involve the children, because they're actually going through it, and we need to say that it's actually there and it is affecting us.
Do you feel like children now are more outspoken as compared to back then when we were growing up? You know, like they know what they, I mean, speak to like a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, they know exactly what they want. If they're not okay with something, they'll tell you no. As we were never given that chance to say no. It's either you do it or you do it, okay? So do you feel that level sort of like of exposure has empower them in a way that they know what they want, they know what works for them, and if it doesn't work for them, they are more outspoken to say no?
Yes, you know, Winnie, child participation is a modern problem.
All right.
And you
it's
know,
a modern problem.
Yes,
okay.
it's a modern problem, and
right.
it requires modern solutions.
Sure.
You cannot say that, you know, because, you know, these children, you know, you cannot say that you don't want to involve children because they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Because these children have access to a lot of information compared to the times when we were growing up and maybe our parents. The story was a bit different. There was no Facebook, there was no internet, there was nothing, you know, where children could get information apart from their parents. So a parent or a guardian or a caregiver was the main source of information. Or so anything that they were given either at home or at school or in church was the truth. But today, children have access to information. If you don't give them information as a parent, or if you don't discuss information as a parent, then they will discuss with, you know, their friend out there or someone else. So that's the danger that we are facing today. And in that, we encourage parents that, you know, we need to talk to children today because they have access to information, and, you know, a lot of things have changed. If you don't talk to them, then they will get this information somewhere else, or you'll start blaming the government or other people. And I tell people that, you know, most of the time we cry about government.
Government should protect our children.
But you know, do you know where government comes from? You know, the point where government comes in protecting children. Mostly government comes in response.
Okay.
Responding to challenges, responding to child protection issues that affect children. But the sole responsibility of ensuring that, you know, children are protected, children are heard, starts from the household level.
Okay.
It starts from the family level. Then from the family, it moves to now Nyumba Kumi. It moves from Nyumba Kumi, it goes to schools and now other institutions before it gets to government. Government only, because today if you don't teach your child at that household level, you don't expect government to teach them.
Okay.
Your child will leave home and go to school. So you teach them, then they go to school, they are taught by teachers, or you teach them, then they go to church, they are taught by pastors and all that. So if you don't play your role as a parent, then that child don't say that it's government problem.
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility, because government comes at responding to the challenges that you are not able to.
But I mean, isn't that in itself a problem? Like the government just coming in to sort of like react to something that has happened to a child. Like, can we have things that will protect, you know, the child in the first place, so that we don't react?
Yes.
When
so
something
Winnie at home, who spends more time with a child? Is it a parent or a guardian or a caregiver or government?
It's a parent.
It's a parent.
Yes.
So that tells you that, you know, the major part of protecting a child
should start from
that upbringing with values, teaching them what is right, how to protect themselves, and how, you know, you start protecting them from that family level, from home.
And it's unfortunate because now we see a lot of these challenges, and Omar, again, you were to just paint that picture for us when we say challenges facing children. And one of the things is, it's sad that some children don't find solace at home because there's a lot of violence happening. You know, insecurity in the sense that we have some children being molested, you know, by family members. So then that in itself becomes a challenge, because then a child doesn't know where to go, because if I go to school, maybe the school is just a whole challenge in itself. I cannot go to the streets, because then who's going to take care of me? You know, there's a lot of you know, problems, and we see a lot of children actually running to the streets because it's safer there, quote unquote, as compared to being at home. So then, Omar, in this case, where the home is supposed to be that place where the child is protected, and protected in all aspects, which again we'll talk about, but sometimes that is not the case for many children. So then, what do you make of that? And for you as a child, what is it like to have that safe environment? What is safe environment, and especially at home, because we're saying should start at home, right? What exactly does that mean for you?
A safe environment for me. A safe environment for me is that environment whereby I'm allowed to express myself how I want, and for people to understand what I'm saying, and for people to actually take my views into count. Because you find that if we are brought by you know, the environment whereby you're supposed to sit down and listen to your mother, or sit down and just listen to your parents, which is, I'm not saying that children should not listen.
No.
I'm not saying that they should not listen. They should listen. But then at the same time, they need to consider the children's views on certain matters. If you're planning something that involves the entire family, you don't just sit down with, if you're a husband, you don't just sit down with your wife and discuss and discuss and discuss and then just move forward. It's just come and tell the children, we have decided we are moving to Mombasa, and that's final. It can't just go like that. It's better to involve the children, whereby they can come in, they come and you guys sit down together, you get to discuss about what you are planning next. And in turn, we will avoid some of these challenges, like the challenges that I mentioned. Like, for example, if, let me talk about a little bit about climate change. You know, something like climate change, this is something that is now affecting us more than it even affected the previous generations, the millennials and the previous generations. And if at that time, if the adults would have considered these millennials who were young back then and tell them that, you know what, maybe if we give you guys these initiatives to plant trees in your schools, if we give you guys these platforms to be able to do this and this and this, we can fight climate change in the next 20, 30 years. Currently, right now, we would not be having drought if we would have enrolled the children. That's why currently, for example, like in my organization called Mtoto News, we are planning to plant 200 million trees by the end of 2030. And it's a project that we really are trying to push on. And you see, if we are involved, we as the children, we get to empower more children. And after empowering more children, and then we tell them, why exactly we're trying to do this. Because we realize that in Africa, we have 400 million and around 400 million children. So if we divide that into two, we have 200 million children. So if one of them just plants a tree, we have 200 million trees by 2030. And you see, that's a really good project that we're actually trying to push on. So basically involving a safe environment is where, you know, there's probably no drought.
Okay. I mean,
and then I am allowed to express myself freely.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you have access to food, water, shelter, you know, all the basics that you need. And then there's education, and then there's the right to health as well, which ideally should be the case, but that is not the case for so many children. And of course some parents would say, but sometimes it is beyond our control. Sometimes, like for example, climate change, I mean, we all have a role to play. Yeah, we do. You know, in the same, all of us, we have a role to play. And of course, we also have a role to play in terms of, you know, sort of like reversing, you know, the impact, if not completely, you know, eradicating, and especially, for example, a case of drought. So there are things that we can do. So do not isolate the children and say, oh, no, they don't understand what is going on. Give them the information. Tell them, for example, what climate change is, because majority are affected. The children are the ones that sort of like expected to go fetch water. The children are the ones expected to, you know, go to school. But then, I mean, there's a story being aired, and children are not going to school because they're starving, they're hungry, and they can't go to school. So it's a lot that we need to do to protect the children. All right, how about we take a break? But when we come back, again, we'll still get to understand, especially for the theme, 2022 theme, and that is as far as the World Children's Day, which was on Sunday, is inclusion for every child. So what exactly does inclusion, you know, look like? We talked about participation, which is very important, but still so much ground to cover, and especially when we talk about child labor, you know, there's also, you know, the whole aspect of children not accessing education, equality as well, a whole debate around the same. So of course we'll be talking about that after the break. But remember what we're asking you today, and that is, what is your individual contribution towards protecting child rights? All right, what are your, or how are you contributing towards protecting children's rights or child rights? Again, we'll be reading your feedback when we come back from the break. But even before we go on a break, we need to also remind you about an important event that you know, will be happening on the 26th of November, and that is as far as Man Cave is concerned. All right, we talked about, Omar mentioned something to do with mental health. Okay, it is important for us to talk about this, but of course, again, what is it like being a man, okay, in this country? What are some of the challenges that the men go through? And we all know men don't talk about their issues, okay? But what is it that we can do to just help them talk about it and all those things? Well, there's an event specifically dedicated for the men. It's called Man Cave, and it will be happening on the 26th of November from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Summer House, Karen. That is opposite Bomas of Kenya. How are you going to get your ticket? Well, it's www.kenyabuzz.com, and of course the early bird ticket goes for 2,000 shillings. At the gate you will pay 2,500 shillings, and then a boys club. This sounds fun. All right, so the boys club, this is a group of 5. For the early bird, you can you buy it at 7,000 shillings for 5, and then at the gate you will pay 10,000 shillings. But that is not important. The important thing is for you to get to Man Cave, and of course men, all right, specifically dedicated to the men, not the female. Support them, pay them, pay the tickets or buy the tickets for the men so that they can go to this event that is called Man Cave. Will be happening on the 26th of November at Summer House in Karen. Well, let's take a break, and of course when we come back, we continue with protecting child rights here in the country. See you shortly.
enjoy early Christmas offers at Longonot View Gardens, a prime property by Soil Merchants overlooking Mount Longonot along the Maimahiu Naivasha Road. These are 1/8 acre plots selling from 185,000 Kenya shillings. The plot's proximity to major infrastructural developments makes it one of the fastest growing and most sought after areas in Kenya. Water and electricity are available with schools and health facilities nearby. Join us on our open day on 26th November 2022. Call us on 0790 771677 or SMS LAND to 21595 for more info. Soil Merchants. Buy today. Build today.
A decade or so ago, Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba were the young players in the Spain squad. Today, Busquets and Alba are the veterans leading their experienced peers and emerging young stars into the World Cup. It is 2012 meets 2022 as Spain's past, present and future come together.
Did you know you can open a family bank account without having to visit a branch? Simply download Pesapap app from Google Play Store or Apple Store to enjoy freedom and convenience. All you need is your ID card, KRA PIN and camera phone.
Want to know the biggest story of the week? Do not worry. The Weekly Review has got you covered for in-depth analysis of politics, business, governance, as well as social issues. The Weekly Review covers it all. For well-researched, exclusive and investigative content, read the Weekly Review every Sunday on Nation e-paper and on www.nation.africa, free of charge.
I know that you're hiding something from me, Carlos. And you better pray that I don't find out what that is. Because the very minute that I find out that you're lying to me again, I will take everything away from you.
He and Bianca are now engaged.
Well, that is interesting. Wow, it's about time. I'm so happy for them.
I'll finally get to marry the man who I really love the most.
Do you know what I'm holding right now?
What is it?
I just purchased a gun earlier.
What? What for? Where are you gonna use that?
Forever, my love.
New Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair. It's a huge game changer for me. The science is pretty amazing because it really goes deep inside the tooth and repairs tooth sensitivity. It's going to improve the quality of my life in a big way.
Join us on our open day on 26th November 2022. Call us on 0790 771677 or SMS LAND to 21595 for more info.
We know your flavor, and that's how you inspire us to always deliver the best quality meals made fresh with locally sourced ingredients. Galitos, bold African flavor.
Get the Galitos Hot Box and a 500 ml Coke soda at just $6.
right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. The show is Your World, and today it's all about protecting child rights, all right? And the question that we're asking you is, how are you contributing towards protecting child rights? Because majority of the times, usually say the government, the police, the teachers, everybody else, but we take ourselves out of the equation because Okay, all right. So how are you contributing towards protecting child rights here in the country? Again, interact with us on our social media platforms at NTV Kenya, at Lubembe_Winnie, that is on Twitter, and on Facebook at NTV Kenya. And one Brian Onduso says, when it comes to children's rights, we are one team. Okay, right. And then Rotich Aaron says, ensuring all children in my village go to school. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, all right? Access to education, that is one of the, rights, as far as the children are concerned. But of course, again, we just want to know, how are you contributing, all right? Rotich says, yeah, and ensure everybody or all the children in his village go to school. That is a good thing. But of course, before we continue with the show, just a quick reminder about Man Cave. And remember, like we said, Man Cave, this is an event specifically dedicated to all the men, all right? And of course, you can see some of the guests who will be there. You don't want to miss. We'll be having Nameless, Simon Baby, we have Omanyala, we have Robert Burale, and of course, we have Dr. Edward Mungai who will be there. And remember, the venue is at Summer House Karen, opposite Bomas of Kenya. The tickets, you want to grab the early bird tickets because they go for 2,000 shillings. This is per person. And at the gate, you will pay 2,500 shillings. But here's the thing, the Boys Club, all right? Sounds really, really fun when we mention the Boys Club. So Boys Club is a group of 5 men, and you will pay 7,000 shillings. Remember, this is the early bird ticket, okay? And then at the gate, you will pay 10,000 shillings. This is a group of 5. So mshikane, wanaume watano. And make sure that you attend the Man Cave event. But again, for the ladies, you're asking, how can we contribute towards the same? Again, pay. I mean, just get the tickets for your man, for your brother, for your cousin, for your friend, for any male figure, okay? And have them at the Man Cave, which will be happening at the 26th of November at Summer House. This will be happening in Karen, an event that you do not want to miss. But equally, let's continue with the conversation about a very important subject as well, and that is protecting child rights. And like I said, today we want to approach it differently. Most of the time when we talk about children's rights and what we can do to uphold the same and protect them, we just talk amongst ourselves as adults. But we have a child, 17-year-old Omar Ahmed Gombo, who's a child journalist as well as a young child's rights advocate, okay, in studio here to just really help us understand what exactly is it that the children need. And one of the things that you said, Omar, earlier on is you want to be listened to, all right? You want to be included in decision making. You want to be at the table so that, help people really understand what it is like, being a child here in the country and what the children need. And there's so many facets, like we said. As far as challenges, inequality, we have cases of children not having access to school, to healthcare. The drought is here. So many children are dying from starvation. We also have family members supposed to protect their children. They're the ones who are, molesting those children, and to just even think about it. So then what are some of the challenges that you as a child have encountered towards finding your space at the table? One of the things that we talked about earlier on is the parents or the people involved, in adults in this case, are like, child, leave all the decision making to us. But aside from that, what are some of the other challenges that you have? Just trying to get your voice heard, number one, and also getting your space at the table.
I think the major challenge that we face, mostly as child advocates and as we're trying to get our rights heard, is adultism. Yeah, yes. It's adultism. Yes. Because you find that when we are trying to, actually, let me even give a really good example of our Kenya Children Assembly. The Kenya Children Assembly was formed by the government as a project to allow the children to, demonstrate their democratic right and choose their leaders in sub-county level, county level, and countrywide, right? You find that when it started, it was a really good initiative. It was a really good thing. I mean, children are voting, choosing their member of county assemblies. They're choosing even the sergeant at arms. They're choosing leaders. Really, but currently, when you look at the Kenya Children Assembly right now, it is not even functioning. What they usually do is they gather the children during the election time. The children vote, and after voting, that's it. They don't even arrange meetings for them. They don't even get to reach out and see what they're doing, maybe help them to come up with different initiatives. They don't even listen to maybe the concerns they have about their children, the children who are coming from their place. So you see, adultism, because they, you know, they consider that's just something that we just, you know.
I mean, they're just having a good
mean,
time.
yeah, I mean,
just
it's
having
not
fun, and then
exactly.
that's it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's
I
a
mean,
lot.
yeah, that's the main challenge. You find that when we are trying to form something, and we have come up even with regulations, even policies, we even made policies on how we want to drive this initiative. But then when we come to represent it to maybe you guys, you guys,
adults.
yes, you adults maybe.
Yes.
When you come and represent it to the adults, you find that what they do, they take over the project, and then they start saying, no, 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 just cancel this out, cancel this out, cancel this out, and yeah, now pass that on. And even though it's passed on, they don't even get to, you know, like push it forward. It just ends there. See? So that is one of the major challenges that we as the children are actually going through. For example, now maybe in school, we've complained about the timetable. We're being squeezed, it's being so small, we don't even have time to do even co-curricular activities. When we sit down and discuss with maybe the teachers, maybe if we get the opportunity to discuss with the teachers, we discuss, and after discussing, they don't even hear us. After that, everything goes back to just the way it was.
Okay.
So you find that that's the main challenge.
I'm just curious, how different would you want it to be, the timetable?
The timetable?
How much time do you want to hey, he's ready. He's like, let me tell you.
I wanted to move the glass and speak now.
How do you want it?
This is what, I mean, in our school, personally, when I was in Form 1, there was a sports day, which was planned every Wednesday afternoon. And there was a clubs day, which was planned every Tuesday afternoon. And it was a really good program. But when after COVID hit, what happened?
Everything changed.
Everything changed. There was even no time for clubs. There was no time for sports. There was even no time for that morning routine whereby you guys just come and learn, because when you reach in class at 6, the teacher is already there, even wondering.
But everything changed. I mean, you remember the school calendar?
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
everything was just so squeezed, and we had to rush, and you know.
It does, but you know, at the same time,
crazy.
you also have to consider that children, they don't only need the, you know, just learning. I mean, learning is good. It's good to learn because we do get to know a lot of things in school. It's absolutely,
important.
it's really important. But then at the same time, if you cancel the co-curricular activities, which are really important in the psychological being of the child, cancelling clubs, which are some of the fun things that we actually look up to go to school. You're like, today I'm going to school. I'm going to meet up with my club members of the journalism club, and you're going to discuss 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, that's something that's actually making school worthwhile. Fun. So, I mean, these are some of the things that when they were cancelled, we as the children were really sad. And I understood that maybe, you know, COVID hit, and then maybe we have to squeeze time. I understand that. But at the same time, we were doing exams.
We're going to go back to the normal school calendar next year.
Yeah,
so
I really thank God.
I really thank God. All those things will come back.
Yes.
Okay. But Collins, again, remember what we said earlier on in terms of, yes, it is our responsibility as adults. Because when we were growing up, there's that aspect of a communal sort of way of raising a child. But mtoto anania na misbehave, you have every right to, you know, to take action, discipline the child, but also make sure that the parent knows and all those things. We don't see that right now. So then the question is, how best can we, yes, involve the children, but also not forget that part, and that is taking part in making sure that we protect these children, making sure that we provide for them. You know, we might not have like 100% everything that you need, PS5 for example. I mean, and that aside, but just make sure that they have access to basics. You know, for example, food, you know, shelter, education, they have access to healthcare. Make sure that, you know, they are okay. They can voice out their issues and all those things. How best then can people support without feeling that you're sort of like crossing the boundary, you know, when it comes to someone's child?
Well, thank you, Winnie. First of all, let me say, you know, one of the problems we have is, you know, if you look at our constitution, that is Article 53, that talks about the rights of the child. We realize that, you know, child protection has not been really heavily discussed about, or, you know, it's not heavily talked about. And, you know, some of those challenges that, you know, came from the constitution have been addressed by the Children's Act. That is the 2020 Children's Act. And you realize, if you look at the Children's Act, parental responsibility has a bigger, you know, a bigger chunk of it, takes a bigger chunk of it, because that is something that we forgot. But, you know, there is a danger here, you know, when we start, you know, legislating our responsibility, then we have a problem. It means as a society we've forgotten our mandate as you know, as parents, as caregivers. So we need to go back and relook where did the rain started beating us, so that we shape how we are going to raise up children. And you realize that most of the child protection issues that we face is as a result of failure in the family system. And when a family system fails, that's when you'll find children going to the streets, you'll find children engaging in child labor activities, and you also find that other forms of violence against children happening because we've failed at family level, we've failed as at that household level. Because, for example, if you look at things like female genital mutilation, which is violence against children, you realize that who are these people actually advocating for it? The people advocating for female genital mutilation are start with family. You find that a mother wants their girl to get cut, a father wants their girl to get cut. So that is the first failure that happens. Before we even talk about government,
the government and the policies and all.
So even when it comes to provision of basic services, it's solely the mandate of a parent to make sure that their child have food, to make sure that their child goes to school, to make sure they all those basic needs are catered for. Where government comes in is when a parent or a caregiver has failed their mandate, but not just a caregiver, because I always say we've lost that communal aspect that we used to have during our time. Before, for me, where I come from, in the village, the village I grew up from, that is Okwata. Okwata, that is in Teso South. I used to wake up in the morning and sometimes, just go out there and come back in the evening. My mother doesn't know where did I eat from. Ajui nilioga saa ngapi. The only question I get is umeoga. Kama hujaoga. Unaona? Unapeleka huko nje usiku unaoga. Unaona? So that is what we are missing today, because it was a responsibility of everybody to raise a child, where you go play with other children, no one cares whether you've eaten. Penye utapata chakula unakula kama umekuja, because it was not like a one-person affair. A child was not a one-person affair. It was a communal affair. If I have not I've not gone back home maybe by 6:30 or 7, and anyone else finds me on the way, they ask me, where are you going to? Then maybe they call my parent, and they make sure that I've gone back home. So that is what is missing today, and we need to go back and relook at that before we start blaming other people. Let us look at ourselves.
What are we doing?
The way that guy who is saying his role is to make sure that every child goes to school in his village. That is where it all starts. If you make sure that, for example, every child goes to school in your village, you've played a huge role in making sure that you protect that child. If you make sure that in that household, because violence cases happen even from household where relatives and all that. If you make sure you as a relative to that child, why can't you protect that child? Why are you the one perpetrating violence against that child? So that is where we are missing it. And when now family fails is when now government comes to respond to that problem. So I think what we need to do is we really need to go back and look at how we raise children. But the only aspect that is changing today is the aspect of engaging children. But the rest, I think everything is constant. Yes, we engage children, but also the community has to play a role in engaging children and bringing them up. Because I took too long before I went back to the village, and I realized there was a lot that has changed. And because with social media, with the internet, how kids were behaving before,
it's different now.
It's different.
I mean, they know their rights, and they will tell you outright, you're infringing on my rights, and me, I'm going to call the police.
Yes.
On you. And it's a good thing, because children know, and they know what works for them, they know what doesn't work for them, and they need that support. But also, I'm just looking at some of these comments, and people are saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. If you promote like too much freedom for the child, the what I call spoiled, and we do not want a spoiled you know, generation. So this whole aspect of freedom and balance, you know, yes, being a child and enjoy being a child, because adulting is a whole ball game in itself. So enjoying being a child, but also feel like you're also involved. So then you as a child, in terms of making sure that, yes, I am a child, yes, I am disciplined, but I also have my space. You know, how then do you feel you can get that? Because like you're saying, there's so many challenges when it comes to getting your space at the table. We're not being listened to, we're not given that chance, and when we're given that chance, it's the adults, you know, who are taking over and forgetting, you know, pushing the child aside. So then what do you feel that you need to do as a child to do more to get your space at the table and you also get your voice heard?
Well, I think, especially in getting my voice heard, you know, when I'm speaking in my perspective, like, you know, trying to, you know, leverage the rights of the children out there. Basically, what I really would love is a caucus in every family, like a caucus in every, not all, but some of the organizations, and a caucus in parliament. Because you find that if we as the children had a child representative in parliament, for example, a child representative is a child, and this child will be able to air out our views well, and we'll be able to air out our views, you know, the way we as the children would express ourselves. So you find that if they form a small, you know, like a committee for children, maybe in parliament, and then we get to sit there, we get to discuss, these are some of the issues that I've raised from Dandora, these are some of the issues that have come from the children in Kilimani, the children in Ngong. We come together and then we do write them, and then we have one representative going to the parliament and saying, these are some of the challenges the children are going through. You see, we've already gotten our space. And if we do air those issues, we pray that they will be heard and they will be consulted. That is a caucus in parliament. In the house also, the same thing. When the children, by the way, the children are the ones who spend more time in the house than even the parents, because the parents, I'm sure they're working and all that, unless they're working from home. I mean, so you find that the children know the house way better. So when you just come and start just, you know, changing rules without even involving them, that's something, it's like you are trying to destroy the entire house. Because you see, the children spend more time in the house. So basically consult them. You say, I've realized you guys watch TV a lot, you know? And I feel like you guys need to spend more time on your books, or maybe, or even playing or going outside, you know? So that's, I mean, sit them down, consult them, and ask them why maybe they're doing, maybe they're watching TV the whole day. That means something is quite wrong. Maybe this child is going through something, and this child doesn't, maybe this child was even rejected by the friends. Maybe that's why he or she wants to just stay in the house and watch the TV, because that is not right. Or maybe this child maybe has not even managed to make any friends, you see? So I'm not saying that children should just be, you know, like just let them be. Just,
whatever you want.
What do you want?
Get whatever you want.
Pizza? Get pizza. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
so
children...
Like come down to their level.
Yes, I'm also saying that children also have challenges. Children also have views. Children also have, they also want to speak out their mind also. So in short, give them a space to be able to do these things, to be able to speak about what they're going through, and in turn, ask them also for what is the right solution you want towards this problem. So there and then, that's when they'll say, maybe we've watched TV too much, what about this? We watch TV from this and this, and then at this time we go outside, and then at this time we come back, maybe do this and this, and maybe finish maybe our chores and all that, you see? Right then, you've already included child participation in your house, and then right then you've already looked at the views of the children, and then at the same time you've provided peace in the house, because when the children are not happy, there's no peace.
In the house until the children are happy. Why are these children? Okay, so then how do we make this happen? Because again, like we usually say, in the country we have the best policies. I mean, our constitution, again, the best. But then again, when it comes to implementation is where the biggest challenge is. You know, Omar talks about a space, for example, in Parliament, all right? Or a space even in families to just say, hey, this is no longer working, how about we take this approach? Or I am behaving like this because this is what is happening, or this is what the children need, for example, in school, you know, or when it comes to the policies that we have, you know, in the country that is geared towards the children. So then how do we make this happen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Winnie. You know, you've just said that we have all the good policies, we have all the, you know, but then it means there's a problem, because if we have good policies and they're not working, then we need to retreat a little bit and think,
go back and,
you know, why are these policies not working? Policies could not be working because maybe we, somewhere on the way, we got lost and we started focusing on different things. We started, you know, coming up with policies, but forgetting that, you know, these policies have to be implemented by, you know, specific people. That's why I'll go back and talk about the Children's Act that emphasizes on parental responsibility. The reason as to why I go back there is because, yes, these are policies, but who is responsible for what?
For what? Okay.
Yes, government comes at what level? Remember, you know, where a parent's responsibility stops is where a government's responsibility starts. And, you know, as we all know, you know, a child belongs to both a parent and government.
And the government, yes.
But I always say that, for example, we are talking about child participation and, you know, engaging children and all that. One of the ways you're going to solve this problem is, you know, by talking to children, engaging them in family, at family level. Because we are focusing so much on, you know, on the law and, you know, government, and we forget that that child, you've given them a phone, for example. And you know, last time I was here and we were discussing about, you know, giving children phones, and, you know, it's another big conversation that, you know, I told people, give your child a phone, but talk about it, discuss about it, tell them, you know, the dangers of this phone. So discuss, you know, with your child, because if you don't discuss with them the issues affecting them, they will go back and, you know, start you know, doing things secretly or privately.
Don't assume that children don't know. They know.
Because we assume that they don't know. These children know. They are smart. They know. And I told one, like the host that was hosting us here last week, the other time, that you know, you'll find that as a child as young as maybe 2-3 years, they know where to go in a phone. I met a child, you know, the other day, and I gave them my phone. I told them, you know, she was around 3 to 4 years, and I told them, show me where TikTok is. And she went straight to TikTok.
They absolutely know. They know. So don't assume that children
she went to
don't
TikTok.
know.
She went to YouTube. So that shows you that, you know, children understand these things. It's only that they cannot speak out what they know.
Okay.
So let's keep engaging children. Let's keep talking to children, and let's keep teaching them that this is how you go about this. Show them, because if you don't show them, then
they're curious. They will find out by themselves.
Yes, they'll find out by themselves.
Yeah, by themselves. All right, thank you very much, Collins. And of course, we have to end the conversation, unfortunately. But Omar, I'm just going to have you have the last word, because this is a session for the children, and you're here. So in terms of participation and making sure that the voices are heard, protecting the children as well, and especially from some of these harmful practices, you know, there's also a case of neglect, and it's just too much for a child, all right? So what is it that you want to see different? Because we've talked about the policies, we've talked about all these things, right? So what is it that you want to see different, and the conversations that you want to hear come next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, in 30 seconds?
Yes. What I want to see different is the government actually involving children. They formed a really good thing, the Kenya Children's Assembly. If they can use their resources to actually look at this initiative that they formed, the Kenya Children's Assembly, and talk about it, they can be able to make this something good. They can be able to air out the views of the children from all over the country through this Kenya Children's Assembly. The other thing is coming up with different platforms for children. I mean, the children of this generation, they want to do content creation that is through the social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that. If they can come up with maybe a safe space for them to just come and just do their things there, they can provide all these things like cameras, maybe, if they are possible to, you know, because children of this Gen Z, they want to do that. The other part of platform is coming up with organizations for children that actually represent the children, not an organization to represent the boy child or the girl child, to represent the children.
I mean, we have many civil
because
organizations, but still one that is specifically
that represent the child. For example, like now Mtoto News. Mtoto News does represent the child, not the girl child or the boy child. And we do air the views of the children from the child's perspective. So if we can be able to come up with this, or a town hall whereby the children get to sit down with the government officials and say, this is what you're going through, this is what you're going through, what are you going to do, what are you going to do. And in turn, when we focus about the children, then our future is bright.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Omar. Omar Ahmed Gombo, child journalist as well as young child rights advocate, and Colin Setiang as well, child rights advocate. We say thank you. Thank you so much for both of you for coming. I mean, to both of you for coming by today, and very interesting conversation. The children just need to be heard. The children need to feel involved in all those things. So we try and make that possible. But a number of people are still saying, give children too much freedom. Down are the kind of children. But talk to them, all right?
Maybe as you conclude, I was not speaking for government.
Yes.
What I'm only saying is the government has a responsibility, and the parent and the caregivers have a responsibility.
Yes.
We all have responsibility at household level, at community level, at everywhere.
Okay.
So let's play our responsibilities and make sure children are protected and children are safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is where we just end the show. So think about it. Think about the role that you can play in protecting the child rights. And of course, together, let's help protect our children from all these harmful practices and just make sure that, you know, they have access to the basic needs. All right. So we have to end it here. My name is Winnie Lubembe. And of course, on behalf of an amazing team who are behind it, put together the show, we say God bless, stay safe, and think about what you can do to protect the child rights here in the country. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe and don't forget the Man Cave event, which will be happening on the 26th of November at Summer House in Karen. Tickets go for 2,000 shillings, that is early bird, but you'll pay 2,500 shillings at the gate. For the boys club, it is 7,000 shillings early bird, but 10,000 shillings at the gate. For the ladies, just buy the tickets for your men, all right? Could be a husband, could be a boyfriend, could be a fiancé, could be your brother, your cousin, everybody else, all right? Just make sure that they attend the event. Okay, so goodbye for now. Stay safe. See you tomorrow. And please.
We are living in hard economic times. We have high cost of living. The prices of basic commodities have skyrocketed. Kenyans are barely surviving.
If you think about the currency we use, 1,000 shillings is now 500 shillings. I don't know whether we are headed to a point where for people to understand money, we'll need to print a 5,000 currency note.
On one hand, citizens want improved and better services. On the other hand, they don't want to pay more taxes, but they also don't want money borrowed.
Centum Real Estate has completed and handed over 500 plus homes within the popular and rapidly expanding prime neighborhood of Ipingo. Our estates offer a unique, secure environment and a wide range of outdoor facilities.
Good day, everybody. I want to talk to the gentleman. Yes, it's you. My name is Betty Kialo, and we are here at Summer House, Nairobi, in Karen, where all the action is going to be taking place on the 26th of November, 2022. I'm talking about great activities, good food, good vibes, all for our men, you know, our brothers, our uncles, our dads, our sons, everybody in our life who is a man. We're inviting you here at Summer House for the Man Cave, all by the Nation Media Group, Nation FM, and NTV. So come through here on the 26th of November. It's going to be a great time. And so make sure you get your tickets from Kenya Buzz at 2,500 peke yake. And you come here at Summer House Nairobi and chill out with your fellow men. It's going to be a great time. Kujeni wote. Gabon's economy has long been anchored on its oil revenues. However, the tide is changing. I'm here in Libreville to find out how the country is sustainably betting on the vast wealth of its green resources.
I am just getting started in wrestling, and I am giving in my best to get the coveted crown of King of the Arenas. And my ambition is to sit on the throne in the next 5 to 7 years.
Did you know you can open a family bank account without having to visit a branch? Simply download Pesapap app from Google Play Store or Apple Store to enjoy freedom and convenience. All you need is your ID card, KRA PIN, and camera phone.
Want to know the biggest story of the week? Do not worry. The Weekly Review has got you covered for in-depth analysis of politics, business, governance, as well as social issues. The Weekly Review covers it all. For well-researched, exclusive and investigative content, read The Weekly Review every Sunday on Nation e-Paper and on www